Hey everyone, thanks for coming back. Network Field Day 29, Day 2. Presentation 2, Vendor 2 was Catchpoint. And they're an observability company, which this was my first foray into just having any kind of conversation around observability. And something that came out pretty early on is, well, why are we calling it observability? And the statement was, oh, it's because we're sick of saying monitoring. And that was kind of funny. We had a chuckle about that. But the more we got into the conversation, the more it became clear that no, we can make a joke and say, haha, we're just sick of saying monitoring, but there really is a difference between observability and monitoring, or at least there was with Catchpoint. So we're stepping through their demo and their slide deck, and what they're showing, what I really like, is a lot of kind of it wasn't all end user performance. There was some of that in there. So let's say an end user is going to a website and it's performing poorly. They can map through the process. Was there something in the route that's slow? Is there something in the web page loading that's slow? Which was actually really cool to see. So if you're familiar with the Chrome developer tools and it shows you sort of the timeline on how things are loading within a web page, so they bake that into the platform. And if it's being done from an end user standpoint, or if it's being done from one of the monitoring, I think they're called probes, that you can observe that functionality, that performance from different vantage points. So you can observe it from your headquarters location or a branch office or, again, an end user's laptop. And it was really cool to see, especially that web load part where it was showing the tools, is I think they had mentioned that when they're doing that testing, it's being done with a full Chrome browser, and then to see like the Chrome developer tool, that timeline alongside it was pretty nifty. So they they walk us through all of that, and what I start to realize is, okay, so they can tell me that something has changed in routing. So when I used to get to Dropbox, it would take this path, or I would have this average latency. And now it's different. Now there's 5 more hops involved, or there's this spot through AT&T's backbone network where latency is going through the roof, and you observe that. But in we'll take it out of the cloud and we'll bring it on prem. And let's say you're at a branch office and you're going to a data center and you've got SD-WAN in the mix, and your primary link goes down and you start utilizing a secondary link, and there's a couple more hops involved. So you can see that the route has changed, but the platform doesn't have the ability to tell you why. So let's say, at first I tried to talk about BGP. I tried to frame this as a BGP going through just the regular internet. And the response was, "Oh, no, we have BGP monitoring, and you can see when your neighbors have changed, or if your route isn't being advertised anymore." And that's when I said, "No, let's bring it inside, and let's talk about that branch office to internal data center, and that specifically routes. Okay, let's make it OSPF. So OSPF breaks. They don't know that your OSPF neighbor dropped, or they don't know that a metric changed, or they don't know that the SD-WAN failover occurred They know the path changed, but they don't know that the actual routing process broke or changed. They're just observing a difference. And that's where observability and monitoring for them sort of clicked that, well, no, we're not just tired of saying monitoring, so we're saying observability now, because monitoring still has a home when you're using Catchpoint. That if a router failed, you still need something that's going to tell you the router failed, or that OSPF broke, or that an SD-WAN failover event happened, or even if it's not SD-WAN, even if it's more of a manual failover, like you've got scripts that look for timeouts and then make a change, or your firewall does something fancy like that, fancy like that. So everything that they did was great. The demo was fabulous. I would definitely put them in a similar category of like a NetBees or a Thousand Eyes, that they do actually probably a little bit more Thousand Eyes than NetBees. Actually, NetBees to me felt a little bit more similar to Kentech, but Catchpoint is definitely cloud first and maybe internal second. Or at least that was my take on it. So if you have a lot of cloud things that you're monitoring, a lot of cloud services, which who doesn't these days, that Catchpoint can definitely help you get in, figure out not necessarily what's going on, but that something is going on, and then help kick off you trying to figure out exactly what's going on. So I don't have a whole lot to say more without just trying to just recap what their presentation was. I can definitely say that the next time I'm in a position where I need that sort of observability, that I'll definitely be looking at Catchpoint as part of that conversation. The dashboards were all super friendly. Interacting with the system was very graceful. Like you can tell, they're a small company. I think they said they're around 300 employees, and they spent a lot of time working through that and making it very usable. But yeah, like I'm not just gonna replay the entire presentation because it was a lot of, okay, here's what this test looks like. And I think at this point in time, if you're looking at any of those type solutions, you have a good idea of what setting up a monitoring test to make sure that a web server is responding properly. They can also do some things in there they talked about, like, troubleshooting through an application to a point, making sure that when things are getting added into carts, that the response is quick. And I don't want to say that that's old hat at this point, but it's it just seems to work well. So yeah, that's what I have to say about Catch Points. Again, I was very impressed with it. I kind of hope that in their messaging going forward that they don't try to downplay monitoring. I mean, I get that they're trying to sell observability, and that's what a lot of people are looking for, but monitoring still very much has a home in those situations. So again, that was Catchpoint. They were the second presenter. I've got one video left to record for Kentech. I'll go ahead and get that kicked out here, and I hope to see you in the next video. Take care.